Ta-da! We are live. Okay, good morning, everyone, or evening, or whatever you are. It's morning here, and it feels like morning still. So, I had some questions on Facebook that I was going to try to get up, and I lost them. So, here you go. It's amateur hour, as usual, and I'm doing my thing. So, today we're not going to be doing things at the same time as Mr. Bot. So I'm going to finish within an hour, maybe even 1 minute early, who knows? And I found the questions. So I'm going to start with those questions while you guys are getting to it. And I'm going to try to share them on the screen. That's why I'm fucking around here. And I'm losing my windows and stuff. So there we go. First, Auntie Patty, the carnivore hippie. Good to see you. And Miss Pagan has woken up. I've seen you several times in just a week. What's going on? Miss Paprika, we have a question. Austrian carnivore. Good to see you all. Sweet. I haven't missed anyone, I don't think. Awesome. So let's get the questions in, and I'm going to answer. I think I have 3 questions, and let's see if we can share them here, because that's much more fun if you can actually see what I'm doing. I can't even find the buttons today. Share screen. Here we go. So this is from the Facebook group, Life Beyond Cravings, for Kick-Ass Ketovores. Let's see. You should be able to see that now. Let me know. I can see it, so you should be able to see it. Sweet. And as last time, it's very small. So let's try and make it a little bit bigger so that we can see what it actually says. Maybe even bigger than that. Ah, I can't see anything else. Okay, that's the biggest I can go. So let's start with Jonathan's question. What are my thoughts towards feasting fasted methods promoted by the steak and butter gang? Suitable method to beat cravings? Can it be deleterious to cravings and create binge eating? Curious to hear your thoughts in that regard. Okay, my thoughts with regards to cravings, because I have lots of thoughts about it in general, but just the cravings. Is it a suitable method to beat cravings? Okay, the problem with finding a method to beat cravings when we're looking for a nutritional solution is that the underlying reason for why you have the cravings is not going to go away unless it's purely down to your physiology. If you have cravings because your blood sugar is crashing or something, then yes, that might help because you're not eating high carb foods with lots of sugar that makes your blood sugar go all over the place. That can absolutely help. But the people that generally join my group are usually low carb or carnivore anyway, and they still have cravings. So that's not going to be solved with that method for those people. And I'm definitely one of them. This has nothing to do with my nutrition status. It has all to do with my my mental health or my ability to control my mind. That might sound a little bit harsh, to choose what I want to think, and to my ability to feel uncomfortable when I'm having cravings, which has nothing to do with the diet. It's not going to go away. Can it be deleterious to cravings and create binge eating? I think if you already have a pre-existing eating disorder and all of a sudden you are thrown into this and meant to be like binging on meat and then fasting intermittently, yeah, I think in certain cases that might be a trigger. I don't think it's going to cause anyone to start this behavior. I think it's probably going to be a trigger for someone who already has it. So I wouldn't say like it's dangerous or that it's going to put you in any danger of becoming a binge eater, because you're not going to want to binge on meat. Most people don't. Someone might agree with me or disagree with me, but most people won't want to do that. So I don't think that's a problem when it comes to cravings. Sometimes we get cravings when we're really hungry. So if you are in, if you're priming and you're eating a lot of food all the time, the cravings might go away temporarily because you are making sure that you're so full that you don't have the cravings, potentially. Me personally, eating until I'm over full is actually a trigger for me. And I think I've been trying to figure out why that is. And I think it comes from like when I was a kid, there was a lot of, Chinese buffets and stuff that you could go to. And I would absolutely stuff myself. And when I'm that full, there's still dessert. And I had to go and have it. So I think that's just psychological, but the the feeling of being that full is still a trigger for me. Right. So Sophie has another question. Do you think once you beat the sugar addiction, you can have a little bit here and there, or do you think that will bring the addiction back? This is funny because I recorded two podcasts. One of them is more deciding more how you know the difference between addiction and habits, and the second one, which will be in about 2 weeks, is about whether we can cure carb addiction. So what I'm going to say to this is that the neural pathway in your brain that is associated with the food that you crave, that's never going to go away ever. What we do when we stop craving things and we make better choices is that we create alternative pathways, and then we practice using them as a response to cravings. So we're swapping one pathway for another, which means that the previous pathway will always be there. And in certain situations, you might get triggered. Your brain might tell you that, hey, we should go and try that old pathway because it worked really well at one time, even if it's years ago. But as long as you know how to handle cravings, that is not going to be a problem. So when we're talking about beating sugar addiction or carb addiction in general, what we're doing is that we are creating this different pathway. So we're rewiring the brain to have a better response at the same time as we're building a skill that we can use in any situation when we do have cravings, in case that pathway isn't kicking in on autopilot, even after years of using it. It can still happen. Can you have a little bit here and there? I think you can always have a little bit here and there if that is what you want to do. I did it for 3.5 years. Mostly successfully, not all the time, but what I would say that's also a skill. Like you have to learn the skill of doing it, and then you need to learn the skill of practicing having a little bit here and there, because that's a completely different skill. And that is about being able to trust your brain, making plans, sticking with your plans. So there's so much more involved. And eventually I was just like, okay, I'm done with this now. It's too much work to plan having stuff, making sure that I stick to it. Even after having done that for years, that is a trigger. And I'm just going to have to deal with it. So it costs me more emotional energy to deal with that than just quitting completely, because now I'm like, I'm not eating sugar. I don't have to think about it. I never have to discuss it. I never have to plan it. I don't have to do anything. It just is. And that is much nicer. It's more, it gives me even more time back and less brain drama. So I think that you can do that at any point. You just need to train yourself. It's a skill. You need to train yourself that you can do this and still be committed to the plans that you have made. Right. Last one, Miss Paprika. Is it okay to rely on willpower or distractions, for example, for the first 1 or 2 weeks when cravings last for too long? 30 minutes till hours in waves, even when one sits with them, observes the physical sensations, etc. Or would that contradict the whole idea of sitting with cravings? Currently, for me, when I ate till satiation before noon, while being genuinely hungry, I only started to get cravings in the late afternoon, evening. No hunger, no appetite, no TV routine, just day is ending. Okay. So to the first part, you can use willpower. I don't recommend it because it's the lazy way of doing it, and we have been brought up to use that at all times with everything. And the problem with that is that we have a certain amount of willpower. Once that runs out, we're screwed. We don't have a backup plan and we can't do it anymore. Or distractions. You ask about distractions as well. So we can bunch them together. Distractions are maybe a slightly more efficient way of doing it, but it doesn't address the problem, the underlying problem, the cravings. Now, I know that you're still practicing the cravings, so that's fine. If you need to use willpower and you want to distract yourself sometimes while also sitting with the cravings, so not substituting, but doing them all at the same time, that's fine. It's just going to take you a little bit longer if you choose to do that. Now, if your cravings are lasting for 30 minutes to an hour and you start with sitting with the craving for 10 minutes, you're like, okay, I've done my job. Now I can go and distract myself. You haven't missed out on anything. You don't have to sit for an hour just feeling the cravings. That's going to be sort of disruptive in your life. So most people wouldn't choose to do that. I think that what you're doing is probably a good thing. And just like getting that practice in to actually practice it over and over again is the key. Because the more you practice, the better you're going to be at it, and the quicker you're going to learn this and put this on autopilot. Was there anything else in that question? So no, it doesn't contradict anything. Every single repetition that you do counts because that is just threading that new path. And you get that practice. And the stronger the pathway is going to be. Simultaneously with the other one. Nothing can take that away. Just keep focused on that is your main practice, and then just know that the other things we can use them sparingly when we need to. I think I've told this several times before, but I'll say it again. Like when I know there are two situations that can make me crave and my cravings won't go away. One of them is if I'm sleep deprived. If I sleep less than 5 hours or less, I'm going to have cravings no matter what. Sometimes they're very unspecific and I just want to eat. And sometimes they might be for crap. The second one is just before my period starts. My cravings are not going to go away because these are hormonal cravings. I can sit with them as long as I like, they're still going to be there. So sometimes I sit with them, sometimes I'm like, okay, it's that time of the month, I'm just going to go and do whatever I need to do. So that's sort of a distraction. I'm not really having to use willpower because I don't find it difficult to do as such, but I'm kind of ignoring it. So I'm not practicing the response that I want to have. But I know that these cravings have a different origin than normal cravings would have had in my life previously. So I'm not bothered about it because they're always going to be gone the next day. Maybe not the period cravings. They might be there for a couple of days, but they're going to change over time. So I'm like, okay, this is what happens. I don't care. I don't have time for that right now. And I go and do whatever I want. But if I am, like, I just recorded a video of me trying some keto treats. And I have a few things to add, so that's not going to come out for a bit yet. But one of those really triggered cravings within me in the first hour after eating it. And the others, not at all. And then I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. Then I can sit with it because I know that the cause of that craving was actually me being triggered by eating that food. And all of a sudden, I had sweet taste. I want more. Right. I'm going to stop sharing that and we're going to go to the chat. Winter prep. It's finally summer here. Question. What the heck is carrageenan? I don't think that's spelled correct. I think there are two E's or something like that. It's just a thickener, but you probably figure that out. I'm not really entirely sure exactly what it is, but If you don't have to eat it, don't eat it. I don't think it's super dangerous, but someone might have a different opinion. Yes, no dusters. See, someone had a better answer. Carrageenan, carrageen in German, emulsifier in, for example, heavy cream in Austria disrupts microbiome, gut microbiome, made me quit heavy cream with ingredient list. See, it's good to have you here. It's good to have other people that like to research that sort of thing. I'm just reading things and I'm like, don't like it. Too many ingredients, and I'll just get rid of it now. I used to be better at that sort of thing when I practiced more nutrition science. Yes, countdown. Yeah, mainly using the countdown for the Facebook group live streams because it takes a while for it to come up there and people can't find it. I don't really need it here, but I just put it on anyway. Queen of Pirate, Lord of Puppies. How did I become a lord? I should be Lady of Puppies, shouldn't I? Or maybe I have multiple pronouns. I love the hair today, looking good. Well, thank you. Righty-o. Mascara, that's the M. Fell off the wagon, had 2 sugar-free Coke and 2 sugar-free Red Bull last week. How would you suggest I get on the wagon again as good as possible? Look at the cans and say, no, not this time. Um, you just stop. What's the problem? I need to know what the problem is. Like, why can't you just stop? If you know how to sit with the cravings, I would recommend that you always sit with the cravings. But ask yourself, like, okay, why is it that I don't want to stop? What is it that is stopping me from stopping? And then go from there. Because there's something in your brain now thinking that I want to continue doing this. Maybe I need it because it gives me energy. Maybe it's just like it tastes really nice. I don't know what it could be. But whatever it is, like figure that out, but also sit with the cravings and just allow them to be there. You're like, okay, I really, really want the Red Bull now. And it feels awful in my body and I'm salivating. I'm like a Pavlov's dog. And that's okay. So if you give me a little bit more context or what's behind that, I can probably answer that better. The other day you said you were taking boron. What were you taking that for? Okay, I've had some sinus issues for probably 25 years, which have gone from bad to worse to really bad. And I don't have like recurring sinus infections or anything like that. So I started to suspect that I might have a fungal infection going on. So I was taking it for that, but it's not really helping that. But it seems to be helping with regulating my hormones, maybe, because I started to have less period pains maybe a month after started taking boron. And then when I went on zero carb, I didn't have any. Well, I did have some, but they weren't that bad, so I didn't need any painkillers. And even though I started eating some carbs again, because I couldn't do zero carb again, um, now 3 months in a row, I haven't needed any painkillers, which is great. It's happened occasionally before, but usually that has required me to eat very, very cleanly for a while before that happens. Rewatched some of Sally's oxalate videos again. Saw some white spots on my skin. Would you say it could be oxalate dumping and I should add some low-level oxalate foods to my diet to slow down? Um, when I did carnivore in the first 3 months of the year, I did have those white spots, like an unusual amount, popping up all over my legs. And I want to stand up. I don't want to sit down. Sorry. I'm going to have to adjust my camera. I don't like sitting there. So, they didn't cause me any trouble. They were just like little whiteheads. So I didn't bother with that. I didn't do anything about it, and that was fine. However, right now I'm just dumping like mad for whatever reason. I don't know why. Something has happened. Maybe that's also hormonal. I have no idea. So if they're not really causing you any problem, you might not have to do something about it. But right now, I don't know if you can. If I remove this, I don't know if you can see it, but I have lots of red doings. All of that is oxalate bumps, and they're all really itchy. And I have it all over my chest, all over my arms, and I even have some in my face and my neck and on my back. Um, one or two on my legs that are itchy, but it's not too many. And that is a problem because I'm just itching everywhere and it's driving me crazy. And I just want to scratch myself raw. And yes, Miss Pagan, I did try the plantain. I didn't put it in oil because I didn't have any, but I was just boiling it like a tea and I've been putting it on. And I think it's helping a little bit, but it helps for a few hours, a slight bit. Doesn't take it away completely, but it does help a little bit. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's very kind of you. Regarding sugar-free cravings, I just craved sweet taste, I believe. Suddenly, water wasn't enough. Altered between dairy and sweeteners last week. Was difficult just kicking it out suddenly. Okay, so that could just be like your brain is having a tantrum. It wants you to go back and eat crap. I just have a client who's done so well for like 5 months, not had any cravings. And then he stopped thinking about it. And all of a sudden, there he was. And he's like, what is happening? And then he gets scared that maybe this is it. Maybe now I'm gonna fall off. Maybe maybe it's not gonna work for me now. Like the brain is just gonna do whatever it can do. So if you give it an opportunity and like you're giving it your little finger, will try to take your whole arm. It's like, yes, here's something that works. And now we're just gonna call all our friends and we're all gonna go out and demonstrate and trying to get him to eat or drink in your case. Because this is working and this is what we need. We need that dopamine hit. So the brain will try all sorts of tricks when you're not paying attention. So you just need to pay attention to what's going on. Now you're already falling off and you're like, okay, now I want this because you've been doing it for a few days. So now your brain is like expecting it. So if you don't give it, it's going to be like, hello, we really do want this. So what you need to do is just get off of it. And that's probably because you haven't been doing it for very long and you've been off of it for a long time. You're probably going to be fine within a couple of days. So if I were you, I would be like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to have cravings. I'm just going to drink water for the rest of the week, and that's it. You might not even have to sit with the cravings. I always recommend that because that's a really good skill to have. But if you don't want to go through and practice all of that, you just be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Make the decision to go and do it. Like, okay, 7 days, just water. If I still crave it after that, then I might have a bottle or something. Then you can maybe plan that. All good. Righty-o. Where were we? Yes, thank you. Hit the like button. Yes, I can read the comments here. That's what I'm doing. Depends on the meat. I might binge on it. Good for you. My meat binges aren't very good, but I think I've said this before as well. If I'm eating, like, I'm fry a steak, even a 200-gram steak, I'm like, that is a lot of food. I can't do it. If I take the same steak, I chop it up into pieces, and I eat it raw, I can just keep eating. It's like eating popcorn, and I don't get full. It's like I just continue eating. So I can eat a lot more meat if I'm eating it raw. Uh, yes, I had some questions from the Facebook group this week that I wanted to get through as well. Okay. Let's see what Lilith stuff has to say. I'm slightly uncomfortable about the small tub of ice cream in the freezer. It has been there 2 weeks, not tempted, but I bought it for my dad when he visited, but he didn't eat it. Okay, that's excellent. You can just use it to practice having cravings. I mean, I'm trying to, some people will be like, oh, stop being so optimistic. But it is actually really good because you have something that you can practice with if this is a skill that you want to learn. Otherwise, throw it out. What's the problem? They're gonna be like, oh, I can't throw ice cream or I can't throw food. I paid for it. You're gonna get all of these thoughts, which is fine. You can still throw it out if you think that is bothering you and you don't want to do the work. That's fine. Or you give it to someone. There are solutions, but we don't want to look at them. I mean, I feel uncomfortable thinking about if I had ice cream in the freezer, I would not want to throw it out. Like my brain is like, no, we can't do that. So I would have to work through that. And I would probably feel better giving it away to someone. But that is just about my emotional discomfort. It has nothing to do with reality. It's just bullshit that I'm making up in my brain. Miss Paprika, yes, I meant sitting with the cravings, and when it's still there after over 30 minutes or even longer, then I'm allowed to distract myself from it. Yes, no, yes. Yes, you are, but you're always allowed to. But then it doesn't matter. You have still done your homework and you still got the benefit from it. So you can absolutely go and distract yourself at that point. Yeah, I guess I did answer that question before. Fatigue or not enough protein really ramps up my cravings triggers. Well, that's good to know. Fatigue. It's funny because fatigue in itself doesn't really do it for me, but it's the fatigue from not sleeping enough that does it. Right, my parents adopted a child who spent the first year of her life in the meth house. She's basically feral and is a touchy eater. How would you get her off the processed carbs? Um, you can't really do that for someone else. I mean, the way to get off, if she wants to get off, is to learn the skill of allowing herself to have cravings and not give in to them. But that needs to be a choice. It's not something that you can force someone to do because they're never going to learn a skill that they don't want to do, except for maybe these Chinese wonder children that just has to practice doing whatever and they just like mentally good at it. But an adult that is able to choose for herself what she wants to do and how she wants to eat, I can't help you with that. We can't force people to do things that they don't want to do. It has to be something that she chooses to do. So maybe start with just like checking in, does she even want to stop eating them? And if she does, then yeah, maybe have her watch some of my stuff. Maybe have her take part in my next challenge if she wants to learn how to do that. It's a really good way of doing it. I'm not sure which question this was. Pim deconstructed a question I had in a very mature and professional way. I have the same nuanced opinion. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind in the chat, so I'm not sure what that was with regards to. Didn't you try taurine? Probably about getting rid of cravings. Kevin, you know because I answered your previous question. Thanks for the advice. Sonia, hi Pim. I'm still really confused about how much fat to add to meal when I've got plenty of body fat to use. Currently having 100 grams of protein, 400 grams beef of similar a day. There isn't a set amount of fat that you need. Some people, like me, do pretty well with higher fat. So I'm talking about like energy percentage. I might be doing well with 80% fat. And I only base that on like when I'm doing higher fats I'm starting to lose weight. When I'm doing higher protein, my blood sugar is not going up because I've checked, but I'm not losing weight. So, do I want to lose weight? In that case, maybe I'm doing better on higher fat. I don't notice anything else, really. I don't notice, it doesn't seem to make a difference to whether I develop a headache or not when I'm doing zero carb. It doesn't seem to have any impact on my energy levels as such. It does raise my ketones a bit more to have more fat, but my ketones are always, I say, fairly high. They're around 1.5, even if I'm eating higher protein. You have to try. Like, you have to, wherever you are now, like, try going higher. See if you feel better. Or try going lower and see if you feel better doing it that way. It's really hard to tell. I mean, if you ask someone like, I shouldn't mention her name because last time we had a long discussion, or you guys had a very long discussion about her and her opinions. She says that everyone is supposed to eat 200 grams of fat per day, no matter body size, no matter, gender, whatever. I don't believe that's true. Other people, if you ask them, high protein is the thing. And everyone should be eating more protein, and 100 gram wouldn't be enough. So you just have to try things. I can't say for you like what's going to work best for you. And I don't even know how much fat you're currently eating. Try it. I would always try things and then just go with whatever feels best. I'm not doing 80% right now. I've actually been doing higher protein in the last week. There, I feel no different. And I'm doing that because I've been experimenting with a few other things. And I keep forgetting to get my beef fat out of the freezer. So, shit, I'll do it tomorrow. But I actually miss it a little bit because I like beef fat, which is good for me, I guess. Right, regarding planning to get something next day, week, should one then really get something or decide on that day again and with a fresh view if one really wants that something? Screw plans. Okay. I teach all my clients that they can have whatever they want if they want to, but they have to plan 24 hours in advance. And the only reason that we do that, I like them, or at least sleep on it. Like, decide today, have your night's sleep, and then you can have it tomorrow at any time. It doesn't have to be 24 hours. And the reason I'm doing that is because whenever you're giving in, whenever you are having a discussion with your brain about whether you should or shouldn't have something, and you're giving into a craving, you're strengthening that old pathway. And we want to avoid doing that. We want to strengthen the new pathway, which is I have a plan, I'm following my plan. And also, if I have cravings, I'm just going to allow them to be there because that's the response that you want to have. You don't want to be the slave to those cravings. You want to do what you want to do, what you have decided that you're going to do. So I used to plan, I could plan like, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to have ice cream. Then when it came to Saturday, I was like, I don't really want the ice cream. And then you don't have to eat it. Unfortunately, most of the time I would be like, well, I did plan this. I'm going to have that bloody ice cream anyway because I know that it's going to taste nice when I'm eating it. So I would have it anyway, which is a little bit stupid because we don't need to do that. But at the time I was like, well, now I'm not going to have it for a very long time. So I may as well just take this opportunity. So this was kind of almost a trigger for me. Like, well, I can't leave it now. But I wouldn't say it was a trigger because it still didn't create those cravings. It was more of a opportunistic thing. And it was very hard for me to say, no, I really should be listening to that voice that says that I don't have to have it if I don't feel for it. I would just do it anyway. So what you want to do is like, never, never, never go to the place of screw the plans. I'm just going to give in now. Some people are going to fail at this. I've had clients that go on holidays and we say, okay, how much crap are you going to eat? And we might decide that they're going to have one thing 3 times or 3 days. They can choose whichever day, but they only have 3 opportunities to eat dessert or whatever it might be. Some of them do really well. Others would have that opportunistic brain and like, well, if I'm gonna have it anyway, I may as well just do it every day and do it all the time. It's like an excuse. So depending on who you are as well, different things work differently for different people, obviously. And should one then really, yeah. So yes, plan ahead of time, 24 hours or overnight, and then if you want it, eat it. If you don't want it, don't. Oh, isn't it great? Chickens allow me to throw out so much stuff without feeling like I'm wasting it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing with the dogs. We just salvaged a deer yesterday for the chickens. Excellent. I will never understand why commercial egg producers make a big deal about vegetarian feed for chickens. Chickens are not vegetarian. Don't they do that with everything? It's so bloody stupid. Anyhow, don't set me off, Patty. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. Here's a question. I still have a certain aversion to fat on the ribeye itself. Would it be okay to substitute with butter, or if is animal fat much more useful for the human body? Should I try getting used to it? Butter is animal fat, but I get what you're saying. Um, I can't eat the fat on ribeye either. I mean, I love fat, but I need to fry it and I need to make sure that it's slightly rendered and that it gets that texture so that it's kind of melting in your mouth. The worst thing ever to chew on is a blob of fat, if you ask me. It's just yucky and it makes me want to vomit. So if I have a ribeye, I cut off the fat and I fry it separately because I want the fat fried a lot more than I want the meat fried, if at all. That's what I do. A year ago, I was cutting fat off the steak. Now I eat it first. Yeah, I cut it off and eat it. Well, hello, hello, Master Chief Burgess. Better late than never. Good thing I'm not on the Meat Militia feed, or it would be dusters for me. Well, maybe you have to do dusters here. But I know that you guys are probably going to want to hop over to Bart's channel right after this because he has a premiere in 23 minutes. And it's another response to that douchebag that was saying things. So, for those of you who enjoy that sort of thing, then I think that's going to be a good one. He said something about breaking the record of using the C word. So, I assume that it's going to be sort of entertaining in a way. Yes, I'm with you. I hate the chewiness of the fat. Ah, jumpy jumpy chat. Oh, I still can't eat huge chunks of lamb fat from a shoulder, for example. I don't like lamb fat. I'm always say it's tasting too lammy. And Bart is like, what are you talking about? It's lamb. Of course it's gonna taste lammy. But he doesn't really like beef fat, which to me is strange because beef fat has less of a pronounced taste. It's just more neutral, especially if you put lots of salt on it. But we're all different. I learned a word for the green word salad. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Explain. Oh, you betcha. Discipline really gets slack on the Meat Militia ship. Well, you can't be here doing dusters if you're gonna head over there, because then you're gonna miss it. So it's all in service of the Meat Militia. Or you can do both, maybe. Yes, Duchette said stuff again. He did. Question: can I use the tallow from my ground beef as moisturizer, or do I need to do something to it? You can. You don't actually need to do something about it, but it might smell a little bit, and you might not want to go and smell like a steak. So if you don't like that, you can absolutely clean it up a little bit. What I do is that I just put it in a pot with some salt and water, and I boil it on very, very low heat for maybe an hour, 2 hours. I don't really know how long you need to do it. And then I pour it off and I let it cool. And if you have it like in a bowl and you can just pop that block of fat out, you usually get all the crap on the underside and you can just scrape it off. Sometimes I do it more than once, but depending on what I'm using it for. I made some candles very recently. I didn't bother cleaning it that much because it doesn't matter. I just put some essential oil in so that the candles smell nice. But if I put it on my body, I don't really want to smell like fried meat. So then I clean it up a little bit better. But you can absolutely just put it on. Like if you want to smell like bacon, you can put bacon fat on you. Barbara, thank you very much. Didn't know you were here today. It's good to see you. Um, okay, I'm not sure. That was probably part of an internal conversation that I missed. Pork fat is the best. Pork fat is amazing. Like pork cracklings with a lot of fat left on it. That's really good. And we have these. They call them. What do they call them? Pork ribeyes, and sometimes they have like pork ribeye. Not steaks. What do they call them? They're just like pieces, like chunks, almost like a roast. Pork ribeye roast. They might be calling them pork ribeye roast here. Can't remember. I just buy those and I put spices on. You might not want to do that. You might just want to put salt on. It's up to you. And I get the barbecue out and just barbecue the whole. I just sear the whole outside, and then I cut them up into individual slices, and I just put more spices on, and then they're fried, and the whole thing is just really nice. And it's very marble. There's a lot of fat in there, which makes it less dry because normally I think pork is quite dry. When you just have pork meat, it goes very, very dry, and I don't really like that. But when I'm barbecuing it with the spices and all the fat there, that's that's really, really good. I have one of those in the freezer, but the barbecue has broken, so I need a new barbecue. Speaking of which, thanks for the reminder, because Bart is going to go for cricket training tonight, so I'm going to send him to buy a barbecue. Perfect. Bart likes lamb fat because God made him wrong. Yeah, God made him wrong. I agree. He likes so many strange things that I don't like. It's funny because it's like I generally don't like my food cooked a lot. Like I want my steaks rare or blue or even raw, and he wants them well done. I want my eggs so that there is not like the yolk needs to be completely runny, and I don't really care if the egg whites are a bit runny as well. And he wants them hard boiled, even though he doesn't eat many eggs right now. And it's like that with everything except for bacon, where it's the opposite. I like crispy bacon, and he wants his just like fucking sloppy and yucky. And that's the same thing. I don't like chewing on that yucky fat. It needs to be rendered, and crispy is the best. He's here listening. Is this a talk? This a talk shit about Baldy session? Yes, we're talking about how to cook the food. Funny. You were found out, Doofenfucker. I'll blame him. He started it. I like the pork belly fat on my skin. Good. Yes, if you use the rendered tallow straight, the local puppos will love you. Lol. Yeah. Yeah, I bet one of mine would probably lick my legs if I put it on like that. I'm kind of like an all or nothing personality. Once I was able to enjoy red meat, I stopped getting monogastric meat. I am the opposite of don't let perfect be the enemy of good guy. Yeah, so maybe that's something that you want to work on. Because usually what happens is if it has to be perfect and you're not, then you stop doing it. So you don't get any benefit from it rather than getting 80% of benefit from it. I'd like to eat all of the associated meat fats, but I have a swallowing problem, very narrow esophagus. So I have to chew and chew and chew, or it can get stuck in my throat. God, that sounds kind of annoying. Can you swallow any like supplements, pills, or do they get stuck? That's horrible. Yes, Professor, shit is being talked. Yes, Pim telling all, but all. That's why you guys are here to hear all the secrets when he's not watching. Usually he's kind of getting up now, so he was up a little bit earlier. I heard him getting up just when I started streaming, so I guess he doesn't have anything better to do than hang around here and trolling. Let's see. I actually had the gastroenterologist balloon it twice to stretch it out. Jesus. But I still occasionally have a problem. Finger down the throat time. Jesus. That sounds very, very uncomfortable. Fuck. How do you breathe then? Doesn't it kind of restrict the airways as well when you're doing that? God, I'm not jealous. Well, we're coming to the end of the comments, so I've been quick. And you might not have had as many questions as usual. And I've been scrolling through a lot of the conversations. So if I missed anything, put it up again because now I'm at the end of the chat. For paprika, since going carnivore, I learned that to absolutely hate ground beef. Can't swallow that anymore for the life of me. Normally eating 2 steaks and a block of butter per day, maybe adding 10 to 20 eggs. It's funny. Our taste buds change. God, I need to cough. Gonna turn the microphone off. So I don't hate ground beef, but I find it really boring. And I think part of the problem is that I need to fry it. And if I'm eating it raw, I don't really like the texture because there's too much fat in there and it's that fat texture. So there's always something wrong with the texture. I like burgers though. I initially had problems with large supplement pills until the gastroenterologist, why can't I say that word today, went to work. The blockage is below the air passage. Okay, fair enough. Yes, T-13 to douchebag time. Yes, I already told them. I was nice as well. I didn't just talk about how you want your crappy food cooked. Medium rare steak is a godsend. Okay. I like mushy fat because I thought burnt meat was bad for the colon, like acrylamides, scratch like glass. Is that right? I don't really know. That sounds like bullshit. I don't think that. I mean, acrylamides are not great, but I don't think they're gonna scratch your colon. Because that would cause a problem, wouldn't it? Oh, and now I get an itchy nose. These bloody pollen. I love summer, but it is annoying. So sick of eggs. Send them here. I'll take all your eggs. I'm eating so many eggs still, like 5 a day. I could live off 120 eggs a week, but as I said, steak and eggs and steak. No singing. That is correct. I went back to cigarettes but stopped again this Saturday. It was easy because of your course, Pim. Thank you. Even though I didn't do my homework, I will still try and do the homework. That's all right. If it's helping you, I'm happy. By the way, I'm gonna redo the challenge anyway, starting on the 21st. So you can do the homework then if you want to. It really slows my meat eating. I used to get tired of chewing before I'm completely satiated. I think I can relate to that, but my slow eating has nothing to do with restrictions in my esophagus. Thank God. I just need to chew my food properly. Oh Jesus. A 5-gallon bucket of eggs to wash right now. That's a lot of eggs. How many of those egg-laying creatures do you have in total? Like, how many eggs do you collect on a daily basis? I just need 5. If I had that many, the dogs would probably eat more eggs as well. Steak, sunny side ups, up eggs and butter. I could eat 3 times a day. All I could improve currently is getting the steak fat as well and cutting down on egg whites. Why do you think you need to cut down on? There's nothing wrong with egg whites, especially if you cook them. Yes, lots of hamburger. Yeah. Sometimes I make like a mince soup, just use some chicken stock and mince, and it's almost like I'm eating mince but with some chicken broth on top. It works. Just want to say that the holidays are coming up and I will have a special episode dropping on the 14th, dealing with how to cope with family gatherings. Yay! You go, Patty. You can throw the egg whites away and just enjoy the yolk. That's what I do because I can't handle the egg whites. Oh, that's a shame. Because egg whites is like 90% water and 10% protein. Want to keep the 1-to-1 ratio on fat to protein. Maybe I am one of those guys that need more protein anyways. Don't know. Maybe. But then there's only 10% protein in there, mostly water, which is good. Join me for some strategies to deal with family pressure to eat things we don't want to eat. Yes, join Patty's channel, Carnivore Hippie, like that. Go there and subscribe. She's pushing out videos now. I can't even keep up with them. I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch that later. So I will get to it. Just like with Jonathan, but he's not here, so I don't have to tell him that I haven't watched this and that video that I was going to watch. At least 20 ducks and 20 plus hens at the moment. I get about 2 dozen a day. Whew. Yeah, great. I mean, that is great, but it's a lot of eggs. I do 10 yolks, butter, water, shake in morning, then lunch steak, and 10 whole eggs, evening steak, butter, no eggs. Holy shit. Well, you're surely getting your food in. So that was it. If you have any more questions, be quick. Otherwise, you can take a break, get a cup of coffee, and hop over to Bart's stream. And he just told us that he has to go have a shit. So thanks for that. That's very useful, and I don't even know why I'm reading that. Okay, Drew. Patty, I just don't deal with them since my family thinks I'm crazy. Ha ha ha. Perfect. We don't have to deal with families if they think you're crazy, but you might want to. And then she has some strategies that you can use. Indeed, too much info. Thank you for the stream. You're welcome. Thanks, Pim. Yep, too much information. See? No one wanted to hear that, and I was stupid enough to translate that from Swedish to English. But there you go. Coffee. Okay. Thanks, Paprika, Miss Pagan. I will see you guys next week. Or if you are, oh, I forgot, almost forgot. Don't leave yet. On Friday, Saturday, I don't even know. Your Friday, my Saturday, I am going to start coaching Jared live. We're starting from the beginning. So he has not had any coaching from me before. And we're going to take him from where he's now, where where his word was he's a schmuck. So he want to stop doing all of that bullshit and just get free from those cravings, stop the carb bullshit, and also start his own YouTube channel. So maybe you have another one that you can follow soon. So thank you very much. Turn up for that one on Friday. That would be a lot of fun. It's about this time, I think. I had to double check that, but it's on there. So go and click that little bell so that you will get a reminder of when we're going live. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. I'll see ya. Bye.